Welcome back to the Council Connect, the official podcast of the Memphis City Council, bringing you stories of leadership, service, and community impact right here in the Bluff City. I'm Chairman Ford Canale. Today we're diving into a topic that touches thousands of families across Memphis, food insecurity and the efforts to combat it. Joining me now from Catholic Charities of West Tennessee is Kiki Hall, Senior Director of Community Engagement. Kiki, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm just going to ask you a few questions today so the public knows. I know a lot of people already know what Catholic Charities does and the amazing work they do, the thousands of lives they touch each and every day. But tell us a little bit about what Catholic Charities does and the mission that drives your work.
So right now we kind of look at what we do is trying to help stabilize people in crisis. So people come to us in crisis looking for the basic needs, food, clothing, shelter, and we have different programs to address all of those different needs. If we can get them stable enough and they can kind of get out of the survival mode, we can try to move them then to self-sufficiency, moving beyond that. So we have a mobile pantry that runs 4 days a week. We have daily meal bags that we give out on our outreach porch 5 days a week. We have a clothing closet that's open 4 days a week for women and children. We have a baby essentials program for families that are just having a hard time affording those very expensive infant needs. So we have that program. We have a Tennessee Strong Families program where that's really intense case management. We work with pregnant moms to try to help increase the health outcomes, both maternal and birth outcomes for those babies, and we can really help them along the way if they need, if they need their prenatal vitamins, if they need health care service, if they need groceries, if they need assistance with their car to get to work, whatever those things are. So the goal of that is to really overcome a lot of the barriers that these women are having in order to, again, have the healthiest outcomes for themselves and their baby.
So I think it's really important for the general public to understand that you and I both being Catholic and being fellow church members, and this is a mission driven by the Catholic Church and our faith.
Yes.
But it's not just catering to Catholics.
No,
that
not at
we
all.
take care of everyone.
No, we say it's from the Catholic community, giving back to the entire community. We serve everybody regardless of race, religion, creed, background. If you're in need, we're here for you to help you.
Absolutely. How would you describe the current state of food insecurity in Shelby County?
I would say it's pretty critical. And we can talk a little bit about how we've gotten to where we are right now. Prior to last November, we were already in a situation where the poverty rate in Memphis was 22%. And we all know that poverty, food insecurity, those numbers are pretty correlated. So we were about a 21% food insecurity rate prior to November of last year. And then in November, a lot of things kind of happened at one time. All the COVID money that we all had for a long time to assist people ran out, and we found out there was going to be no renewal. We also started having a hard time finding and sourcing canned proteins, canned meat, canned chicken, canned tuna, canned salmon, all those kind of things. So there was a huge reduction in the availability of canned proteins that we were able to provide to people. We started seeing some grocery stores closing down. We started seeing grocery prices go up. So that happened in November. Then in March, the USDA cuts came down, and huge cuts in USDA funding, but then that affected the amount of USDA food that's available at the Mid-South Food Bank, who was our primary source of food. So back then, we could purchase food from the food bank for pennies on the dollar. And what was costing us about $3,000 a month is now about $25,000 a month.
Oh, wow.
So you have that happening. And then again, more increases in food costs. There was not as many agencies that had rent and utility assistance. So people that are choosing between buying food for their families and paying for their rent or utilities, there was no assistance for either one of those great assistance. So we had to start capping the amount of food that we gave out every day because we just didn't have enough in our budget to continue to serve the numbers that we were serving. And so that was heartbreaking. And so now, add in now the new poverty rates came out. So we're even worse than we were before, which we're seeing. And now with the new SNAP benefits changes and potentially the government shutting down, we're in a real crisis. We have a lot of people in need. It's interesting, I was looking through our data today. Back in July, we had about 33% of those coming through our mobile food pantry had SNAP benefits. Yesterday, it was about a little over 50% of the folks coming through have SNAP benefits because they're already starting to worry, or some of their money. In fact, we had one lady who her money didn't come through on her new this next month's card, so they came through today, and so it's just we're already seeing an increase in people that have SNAP benefits that are seeking food right now. So it's a really critical time. So
you've gone through several reasons of why we have such a large food insecurity in the city of Memphis, and there's lots of barriers. And you mentioned, there's parts of our city that are really food deserts for healthy food options, and what we don't want all of our citizens eating is a bunch of grab and go type unhealthy options, because that's not what they need.
Right.
So what would you say the biggest barrier is to healthy food options for families across the city?
Well, again, poverty. Obviously, folks that are low income in poverty, they don't have the money to buy healthy foods. And a lot of those areas don't have grocery stores that have those healthy food options, produce and dairy and meats, proteins, that sort of thing. And then transportation, because transportation is such an issue. They can't get to those grocery stores that are now not just a mile down the road. They may have to go 3 or 4 or 5 miles. And they don't have the transportation to get there. They're not on the bus line or whatever. And so I think there's a lot of reasons. And again, those healthy foods are more expensive, and it's really difficult. That's why a lot of our folks are relying on those cheaper but higher sodium, higher fat, unhealthy foods.
So you and all the wonderful people at Catholic Charities are truly hands-on and deal and work with our food insecure portion of our population each and every day. Are there any misconceptions out there that you would like for the people to know that assume certain things that just really aren't true?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of assumption that there are only certain people in certain neighborhoods that are food insecure, and that people that have made bad decisions have put themselves in that spot. And actually what we're finding is that we are serving people every day from all 31 residential zip codes in Shelby County. So it's not just an issue with certain population, a certain zip code, a certain type of person. It affects everybody. And then you look at the ripple effects of food insecurity. It has an effect on crime. Hungry people are desperate. Desperate people do desperate things. That's where we see a lot of young kids starting into a little petty theft. They're going to grocery stores or convenience stores and they're stealing food. Or they're turning to gangs, because a lot of these gangs are like, we got you, we'll take care of you, we'll make sure you're fed, you're gonna do something for us, we'll make sure you're taken care of. And that's where a lot of that starts. And so food insecurity affects crime, it affects healthcare. There's more people seeking, that are having health issues because of the kind of foods they're eating. And then you have kids, they're performing poorly in school because they're hungry. And right. I don't know about you, but when I'm hungry, that's all I can think about. I'm like, right. I need to find my next meal. And I have a really hard time focusing on my work when I do. So food insecurity has a ripple effect on the entire community. So if you think it's only affecting certain people, that's wrong.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking for me, for anybody, knowing that anybody's going to bed or to sleep wherever they are sleeping in the city hungry, but especially our seniors and our children. And so many of our children, the only meal that they know they're going to get every day is at school. And so behavioral issues I can totally understand, from when they're hungry and from when they go to bed hungry and go to bed in not the greatest environment.
Right.
So we can obviously, our heart goes out for them. That's why it's so important, the work that Catholic Charities does, and also how you can make the food go further with the donations that you do receive. So how many families would you say that you all serve on a weekly basis?
So right now, for example, on our front porch, we're serving about 200 individuals that walk up. They're either homeless or very low income. And then in our mobile pantry, we're serving about up to 100 households a day. But we have 7 other locations that are distributing our food boxes as well during the week. So I wouldn't be able to tell you how many they're serving, but we're serving obviously hundreds of families and even more hundreds of individuals every day.
Yeah, well, talk a little bit about the initiative that y'all have set forth with organizations getting to come and participate, whether it's preparing the food or serving the food to these people and what joy it brings them in giving back and taking care of their fellow man.
Yeah, we loved having you and your son not too long ago.
Absolutely.
That was very fun. Yes, for our outreach center, we actually have folks that will come and volunteer not only to give out the meal bags, but every Friday we have a hot meal as well. And if a group wants to come and cook breakfast for them on another day, they can do that. They can come and bring the food. They cook it in our kitchen, and then they serve it out to our homeless outreach clients. And then we need anywhere from 8 to 10 volunteers every day to work at our mobile pantry. And that's a really fantastic environment to be in, because not only do you get to see the folks you're serving, but you're having fun with the group of people that you're with. We usually have music going out there and that sort of thing. And both of those are extremely rewarding, because you see very instantaneously, you get to look into the eyes of the folks you're helping. And
absolutely,
most of them are so extremely grateful. We get the blessing of seeing them, their face and light up when we're giving them food, and it's the best. So we love that. And then of course we have our clothing closet. We need volunteers down there as well. So we've tried to include the community. We love the community, serving the community. So we try to include volunteers in just about everything we do.
Give us a couple of stories of the impact that you've had from the people that you see on a regular basis.
Yeah, we are so blessed to, again, as I said earlier, be right there and see the folks that we're serving. I've told this story several times because it really hit home to me since I have children. And the single mom that came into our mobile pantry absolutely in tears when she got there. And we were like, what's going on? We're here to help. What can we do? And she said, y'all have no idea, I don't ever drive in this area, but this morning I woke up and I had nothing in my refrigerator or any of my cupboards for my daughters to eat before they went to school today. And I felt so bad that they were going to be going to school hungry, and I knew they wouldn't have a good day. And then I'm fixing their hair, and my power went out because I have not been able to pay my power bill. And she was a single working mom. It wasn't like, she was doing the best she could, but she was just having a hard time making ends meet. So she dropped her daughters at school, and she was praying and she was crying, and she said, I'm never in this area. I had to be down here for whatever reason. And she said, I saw your sign for the mobile pantry, and I was like, that's an answer to my prayers.
Wow.
And she gets out of the car, she hugs, our staff, and it was that was that pearl that day that we got, and we're like, this is why we do this.
Absolutely.
Every day. But we have thousands of stories like that all the time. We'll have folks that come to us that have absolutely been broken down, because this one gentleman, he was ill, and he lost his job because he couldn't work. And then next thing you know, his roommate said, you can't pay the rent, you've got to get out. So he was living in his car, and then his car broke down. And then he was completely homeless. And he came to us, and not only were we able to do intake for housing, but we were able to give him the food he needed to get him over the hump. We were able to get him clothing he needed to get through until he was able to get housed. And he was able to get well, and he's back to work. And and again, we have stories like that all the time.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about what role the city and county governments can play in assisting.
Yep. Well, of course, city council grant, we've applied for that, so the council members can certainly, we would really appreciate their support. A little support from each of them would go a long way, because we can, like you said, we have such buying power. We can buy things for a whole lot less. We can buy more quantity for a lot less money, and we can be able to serve more people. They're saying now with this potential SNAP issues that we're going to see an increase of about 30% demand. So we're going to try to do what we can to increase our current daily allotment by that much. But again, that's going to take funding. We would love it and appreciate if the councilman could introduce us to some of our state and federal representatives and senators. Certainly the governor. I think that a lot of folks don't realize that there's sort of this perfect storm happening right here in Memphis, especially, I don't know if you saw the new poverty rates that came out here recently. The University of Memphis publishes every year. But where the United States and the state went down in poverty, we went up. So we're now at 24% overall in Memphis, and our child poverty rate is now 38.8%. Wow. So you have so many different factors happening. So we've got to get everybody, state, federal, that support this state to all be on board with this and realize, like, we can't let this happen. We can't let people starve in the streets in Memphis, Tennessee. So we just need whatever introductions. corporate introductions, if there's corporations in town that have a vested interest in helping Memphis be better, please bring them our way. Let us give them a tour. Let us show them what we're doing to try to help our community.
Before we wrap up, how would you or Catholic Charities envision a zero hunger Memphis?
I think the biggest thing, and you could probably relate to this, is that we would not have to worry that any children are going to bed hungry. They're going to school hungry. That families, it would be beautiful to see that families aren't having to live in crisis every day, because right now, families living in crisis can't see beyond that crisis. I'm hungry, my kids are hungry, I have to take care of that right now. So I can't think about next steps in my life. I can't think about how I'm going to better myself. I can't think about any of those things until I take care of these immediate needs. We're not going to have moms coming through our mobile pantry crying. That would be beautiful. And so I think that this community, if you understand the ripple effects of food insecurity and hunger have on the community at large, we just need more people to wrap their arms around this and realize that right now, while we are in this sort of perfect storm of high grocery prices and cuts in USDA and SNAP benefit changes and our poverty increasing, we all just need to kind of work together and help each other and make sure that we don't have neighbors hungry and kids going to bed hungry and turning to, alternate means to find that food.
Yeah, it's a very important message. One, all the great work that Catholic Charities does each and every day for those in need of help, but also the message for all Memphians that there's something that we can all play a part in. Absolutely. We all have a role to take care of our fellow brothers and sisters and make sure that it would be great one day if we had zero hunger. Absolutely. And that we didn't have to worry about that, especially for our youth and our senior citizens, but really for everyone. So thank you again for all that you do.
We welcome everybody to join us. We want everybody to join us, whether it's financial or just come and help. We would love to have you.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you again to Kiki Hall and Catholic Charities of West Tennessee and the work that they continue to do every day for our community. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in to Council Connect. If you'd like to learn more or get involved with Catholic Charities, visit ccwtn.org. Stay connected with the Memphis City Council by following us on social media at Memphis City Council. Please make sure you join us for our upcoming meetings where your voice can make an impact. Until next time, I'm Chairman Ford Canale, and this has been Council Connect. Thank you for tuning in. Together, let's build a stronger Memphis.